another season of the Calcio guys, another episode dedicated to a new coach of Juventus, or rather, another coach firing with the Bianconeri here on the Calcio guys, Gianni Adriano. I'm Nicholas. You could follow us on all your favorite podcasting platforms, including social media, Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, YouTube. Joining us, our good friend from across Canada, Berto from the All Juve cast. Berto, how's it going?
Doing well. Thank you, fellas, for the invite. Always an absolute pleasure to mix it up with you guys, and I'm looking forward to this session.
So it was one thing I wanted to get a Juve fan, a Juve critic, commentator, as you could call yourself on. Obviously, the big news this season, it's the rough start. Tudor fired after, 8 match days. Spalletti comes in after one game of caretaker by, I had his name, but Brambilla. So I already forgot. I'm a diehard Juve fan, and I forgot the guy who coached the team for 3 days.
It's only one game, man. You're all good.
100% win record.
Short-lived.
For Massimo Brambilla. Yeah, obviously, we spoke about it before the pod, Berto, but were you surprised at all, first of all, to see Tudor get fired this quickly and the first coach in the city had to be let go?
I actually was surprised. And a lot of the fan base was, because, we're one season removed from calling for Thiago Motta's head and it lasting way too long. So we thought we were going to be in the same boat. We're like, you know what? Points-wise, we're not that far. You're going into a good schedule for the month of November. I didn't think they were going to pull the trigger despite the winless in 8 matches run and everything. I legitimately thought they were going to try to keep things rolling. But I made the call myself that if it were me, if you want to be a serious club, if you want to have serious ambitions, you got to draw the line at some point. And it just didn't look like it was going to go in the right direction. So I was surprised, but I think it was the right call.
Yeah, we spoke about it last week, me and Gianni, last week. And, I kind of agree with you, Berto. I think it's something that, it was a bit of a shock because, again, like we said off air, would he have been the first choice to be the first coach fired? Probably not. We all had different predictions in our preseason preview show, and guys like Juric, Pioli, these guys they're still kicking around, even though it seems like it'll probably end up the same thing for them soon. But what kind of, in your opinion, Berto, what kind of fell short besides obviously the results, but like results aside, because there's multiple things that go on with the club. What kind of fell short for you with Tudor? Is it that he lost the room? Did he lose the players' trust? What kind of was his downfall so early in the season?
Yeah, I think, just in general, it's very un-Juve-like. I think the last time we fired a coach in October was 1959 season. So to be the first one out of all the clubs in the league, that's crazy. But if I'm going to say what fell short, I don't think it was anything to do with the players. I know that there was a lot of rumblings about arguments and this and that, and the same core that they were putting up against Motta in Cambiasso, Gatti, Perin, etc. And in this one with Tudor, they included Locatelli, which I wasn't buying for a second, just for a number of reasons. But I don't think Tudor ever would have lost that locker room, and I don't think that's the case. I think it's a combination of things, and I'll be quite honest. I think a lot of it had to do with his turn in press conferences. I started to get the feeling like the writing was on the wall, and you could hear the change of tone in him. He was getting really short with interviewers and journalists, like really short. And he started to say things that were very anti-Juve and going against the values that he was brought up in when he was a player. There's certain things that you just can't say when you're coach of Juventus. And he was kind of starting to say them. And I felt that we got closer to seeing that maybe Camoli, how we felt in the summer where we waited so long to confirm him, this was never really his guy. And I feel like we just saw it come to fruition really, really quickly. Like I would have never guessed in the month of October. But yeah, here we are. And I think it just came down to the excuses, you know,
Yeah.
the games, the schedule, the officiating, which by the way has been horrible in the league this year, including VAR. But we're not the only team dealing with it. Everybody has had to deal with it, but they are on a shocker. So to say that Serie A in general, the officiating has gotten worse, that's crazy to think about because it's never been top drawer. But it's shocking, but you can't use that as an excuse. This is the reality. We're a Juve. We want to play 3 times a week. You don't want to play one match a season. So you got to find a way to deal with it. The Mercado, guess what? That's over. You can't use that as an excuse. These are the guys at your disposal. You got to make do with it. We can't piss and moan about spilled milk from months ago. Here you are. So I think just a lot of things started to get away from him. And ultimately, the results, it was a bad cycle. And was there going to be a way out? You start losing. That Lazio game was terrible. The one before that, terrible. If you're supposed to be a motivation guy and a rah-rah type coach, and you're supposed to make up for that what you lack in tactical ability, he was falling short. So I think there was a couple things at play that were going against Tudor, but not the locker room, in my opinion.
For sure.
So like, what was he saying that was like anti-Juventus? Like if for somebody who's not really paying attention to those press conferences, you know, like what really goes against the identity of Juve?
So I'm gonna see because I had them pulled up for when we were talking. And number one, simply how his tune changed, because there was a point where he had spoken about critical points and he brought up Napoli and he mentioned Napoli. That was good. That was one of the good things. And that was at the start of the season. And that was good because he was showing if he's putting us with Napoli, who everybody pegged to be, again, up at the top and up the mix, that shows me he's got the ambition to get after it this year. That was good. But then after, there was a little bit of a switch in some of his words, and it shifted. It shifted into the players who he always believed in. Now all of a sudden it's like, oh, he's talking Mercato and he's making excuses. Juve ways not excuses. Like, you just can't do that. You can't complain about the schedule. That's why Spalletti, if you caught his presser before Champions League tomorrow, he literally said, he goes, 3 games, you can't complain.
Yeah.
That's the way it is. It's not an excuse. What are we talking about here? I don't want to play 1 game. Do you want to play 1 game a week? And he's talking to the players. Like the guy next to him, Di Gregorio, at that point, it's like, you want to play 1 game a week? No. But Tudor had a shift, and he started to kind of go towards management and take some digs. That also is anti-Juve, because Juve's always tried to do what? Keep things behind closed doors.
Of course.
Right?
Yeah.
As far as the actual verbiage, he had 1 line that was I think it was in a defeat. It was one of the defeats where he said, this is a good match. This was a good match. And I'm like, excuse me? Right there immediately. That was the one. And it was like, it's not a good match. It's never a good match. And it can't be a good match at Juventus. That was the main one, when he's like, this was a good match. We played a good match. And no, I'm sorry. You can never call a loss a good match at Juve, period. You're not going to get sympathy. That was a bad one. Trying to sugarcoat that one for Juventini. Igor, I love you, buddy, but no, thank you.
Not going to fly.
No, thank you.
Yeah. And it's interesting, you say, he had some controversy in press conferences, and the guy that they bring in, Spalletti, is the press conference king. He loves his quotes. We saw that with the Azzurri. He loves his quotes. So it'll be interesting to see what he does with Juve, if he takes that same road, or maybe he just comes up with whatever philosophical quote he wants to come up with. But I kind of want to ask, because it does feel like lately coaches have a bit more personality in these press conferences. You see Conte constantly make excuses. Allegri, I wouldn't say he made excuses, but he liked the limelight, right? With these press conferences, Spalletti as well. So do you think maybe that's kind of a tactic these coaches are kind of applying these days that are just to take away the attention from the players?
I think they're all just pushing whatever narratives that they need to. And I think certain guys are different. I think that there are some coaches that protect their players. And I think there are other coaches that protect themselves when they feel they need to. I mean, they're trained for these things too, hey? Like they're not walking into a presser blind. Like they're prepared about an hour before they go out there with questions that are anticipated to come.
Yeah.
And that's reported to them based on people doing research on fan forums, social media, etc. And they're like, hey, get ready to be asked about this, you know? But what a coach chooses to do when he gets out there, like, I mean, you can't tell me Conte hasn't gone off the cuff a couple times, well, many times in some of his pressers, right? So what they choose to do is on them, you know? Even Max, Allegri has had some beauties for press conferences. He's one of the best too, and Spalletti's in there. I mean, he wasted no time, guys. Like, what is this? What is it? We must always let the sound of the ball rolling on the grass be the message we want to send. If the ball, as it slides on the grass, slides at that speed, the fans hear the noise from the stands. That is the correct way to speak. Yeah. What? Just say you want the pitch to do the talking. Like, you don't want to talk. You want to let the pitch do the talk. This guy is something else, man. I tell you, get ready for it. His pressers are going to be something.
Berto, I don't want to cut you off, but besides the verbiage, all the quotes, the typical Spalletti antics, if you will, this is your coach, right? Like you said earlier, this is what is given to you. This is what you're gonna have to kind of, back him as the manager. He's on an 8-month contract, and depending on how things end, it could be an extension afterwards. What do you like? Do you see a little bit of a light at the end of the tunnel with Spalletti in this short term, or like what do you expect this short or potentially long Spalletti era Juventus to be?
It's way too early to call because it's still honeymoon phase. So it's like we won't really know a whole lot about it, at least I think for the first couple months to see. But right now, everything's kind of shifted from that coach. Like, I think Spalletti's coming in and, people can try to paint whatever picture they want and that, like, there's so much on him, whatever. But I really think there's way more on the players themselves because it's the first time, like, now everybody's looking big picture. Since Agnelli left and the board was dismantled, that's the point where Elkan started making the decisions. You were massively in debt to the tune of 324 million euros. You brought in numbers guys as your president and as your CEO, Ferrero, Scanavino. Every call that you've made from that point till now, like when you were in control, it's been just turnover, no progress, patchwork all over the place. Now you've gotten to the point where, you're shuffling coaches, sporting directors. Now the light is on Elkan and those guys at the top, and it's on the players. They got jeered at the halftime against Lazio, rightfully so. They got jeered in the follow-up game with Brambilla too to pick things up at the half, and rightfully so. Now all of a sudden, I think Spalletti, you can even see it in the way he's speaking and the way he's talking, that he's putting a lot of the onus on the players. He's playing that narrative too. Maybe as a little bit of protection for himself. I mean, shit, he's doing a stadium tour. They got Perin right there. Hey, tuta post. Depends on you.
Depends on you. Yeah.
Everything okay? Depends on you. He's already playing it up.
Yeah.
It's a little bit of a game, cat and mouse here for everybody. But I think I don't think he's as going to be under the microscope as much as people played out to be. He could have been Kamoli's guy from day one, and maybe he did want to take a bit of a breather after that Azzurri debacle.
Yeah.
And maybe they are already planning to go long term, but maybe it's a little bit of show for the fans too, that they're not committing right away and that they're leaving options open. I don't know. It's a tough thing to gauge because now they finally got a management team in there with Camoli, Modesto, Chiellini's involved. That's the right way to do it. Having a group, you know, people could say whatever they want about Giuntoli. Giuntoli had nobody to hammer any ideas off of. He's got Ferraro, that the guy's not even awake. He's got Scanavino, a numbers guy, guys from newspapers, from La Repubblica. It's like, and then Elkan, who's not even there, trying to steer a ship from the shore. So any way you want to slice it, that guy's gone. Now you got a management team. Are they the right guys? Time will tell, you know, but I think Spalletti's playing with free money, to be honest. I think there's more on the players and upper management than there is him. And that might be the best scenario for him after what happened to the Azzurri. Could be in a situation where we need him and he needs us. It's very similar to, and Nick, you could probably talk to this. Like, you remember when Allegri came to Juve and like nobody wanted him? Like nobody. It kind of has those vibes, man, where it's like a lot of the fans are like, no Spalletti, but it might work out. Who knows?
A couple years after winning a Scudetto as well, Allegri with a rival team.
Yeah.
Didn't coach the Italian national team in between though.
Well, this just
should have been the coach
Calcio,
after
guys.
Spalletti. I was calling for it.
Just on Calcio, guys. Nicholas acknowledges Napoli as a rival team. Look at that.
Yeah, he really messed up there.
Stamp this.
You messed up there, buddy.
What do you mean?
I'm not media trained, Berto. I don't get the memos from.
Yeah, he sucked you into that one.
God forbid a team from the South is good. God forbid a team from the South is good.
Fuck.
Okay, so you touched on a lot of great points that actually I have a few questions set up for them, but I'll just start with one. So obviously from speaking of former Napoli staff members and whatnot, Giuntoli, I think Giuntoli actually might have been wasn't sure if it was you or if we had was it Skanga that we had on talking about Giuntoli last year or something?
Skanga.
I think it was Skanga. Yeah, it was. We were talking about it. I'm like, like personally speaking, I thought Giuntoli would have been a good fix for Juve because what he did for Napoli, mind you, he had like you just said it perfectly because Giuntoli didn't have anybody to bounce ideas off of, whereas in Napoli had ADL, and even though ADL's a bit of Cafon, like at least he kind of understands business in a sense. Whereas Giuntoli, like I thought he would have been like I was scared at first because I'm like this is the right guy to steer the ship, like to fix it, and obviously they let him go and stuff. Do you think Ottolini is actually because I think he's the one who's going to replace him soon from Genoa, if I'm not mistaken?
Yep.
Do you think this is actually better for management and better for like what the I guess the boardroom is going to be going with for Juve? Because I think that's ever since the whole fiasco of the financial the financial situation where everybody had to step down. I think that's what's been causing Juve all these problems. It's like it's running around like a chicken without a head. So
they're playing catch up.
Yeah, essentially, yeah. Do you think like I thought Giuntoli was, but I guess maybe not. Do you think Ottolini is that right step in the right direction for that?
Man, I catch flack all the time, but I just said for me, Giuntoli was a scapegoat because any guy that would have come into that position would have been stuck in the same fashion that he was. People say he created a nightmare and he has made things delayed like by years and put Juve backwards years. No, the damage was already done. He didn't create damage. Like the damage was there. He walked into the massive debt. He had a roster that had no assets other than the young players. So everybody said, oh, Giuntoli got rid of all these young players. It was the only way to get the money moving in the right direction. Because guess what, everybody? There isn't a lineup to buy Eric Milik, Artur, Danilo. Like, it just, you've got a roster where your assets are either guys you absolutely cannot get rid of, or they're young players with high potential that bring you capital gains that start to right the ship. If it was Giuntoli or it was someone else, they're going to be stuck in the same mess. Bring your books where they need to be and still try to remain competitive. For me, the guy was hard done by. And for anybody that says it's all him, I reminded them, this is why I lost my shit on them last season. Because I said, if they fire Motta and they fire Giuntoli, guess what? Elkan needs to push himself to the back door, and he needs to get rid of Ferrero and Scanavino. Because if they disagree with anything Giuntoli did throughout that period, they have blood on their hands too, because they could have vetoed it at any given moment. And they did not. So people that cry about the sales of Huijsen, that could have been vetoed at any point in time. Nobody stepped in there and said, whoa, we don't want to sell this kid. No, they had no problems because those guys were choosing books over ambition or whatever. But they gave Giuntoli a mission. Keep this team competitive, reach top 4. Let's fix the books. Once things are clean, we start to ramp things up on better talent. The signings that Giuntoli brought in, they were all balling. They were all doing well before they came to Juve. This is a whole nother beast because now we're starting to get into dangerous territory. Jonathan David, Openda, like all these guys, Cole Minor, all these guys come to Juve. You're telling me not one of them is a good player? When do we start to look at what's in the damn water in Turin? Because one after another, these guys start to fail. Now, when you get to Ottolini, it's all Camoli's show right now. It's not going to be like Ottolini's going to come in and he's going to be wheeling and dealing, whatever. This is, for me, clear as day. It's Camoli's world, and they're all living in it. They have their little roles, etc. But this sporting director is not going to be the power that the last sporting director had. This is definitely 100% a committee, but the guy at the top of it is Camoli, and that's clear as day now. People were saying only Juve is the only team that would hire a coach before hiring a sporting director. And I told them, hello, Camoli's there. Camoli has held every single position in football, in the football world. He's been a coach. He's been a scout. He's been a GM. He's been a sporting director. That's your guy. That's why he hired Spalletti. And it doesn't matter that you don't have a sporting director, because that guy's going to come in and just do whatever he's directed to do by Camoli. It's his world. So in that retrospect, to the question about Ottolini, yeah, I mean, he should be fine because he's not going to be left out to dry like Giuntoli was. It's going to still be committee, right?
Mm-hmm.
The biggest guy to know if he's the right one, the biggest question would be Camoli. And only time will tell. And I'll be honest, for myself, I'm a little skeptical, but that's just me.
So you kind of touched on it quickly, but players that they just brought in, namely Jonathan David, our Canadian friend, you could call him that, definitely struggled. He scored so many goals in Liga, struggled, definitely hasn't looked himself. You could even say the same thing about Openda. And, it gets me wondering, last year, Juve brought in players, winter transfer market, they were already let go in the summer. Even players that they brought in last summer, 2024, some players only lasted a season. Do you think now with Spalletti coming in, there's already risk that some of these players could be on the move in January, like David, like Openda? And do you think Spalletti will have the power to make such moves come January?
I don't expect much of anything to happen in January. I'll be quite honest. You are already expecting FFP punishment coming in the spring. You have a roster that already lacks depth. Like, David ain't going anywhere in January. It ain't happening. I don't see anybody going in January because it would be too difficult for us to try and shop in January because January shopping sucks. So I just don't see it happening. I really don't. And I think that it's already been laid out for Spalletti. Like, hey, this is what you're walking into. This is the game plan for this 8 months. You either accept or you don't. So I don't think Spalletti's going to be making, I'm not buying into all these media reports that he's making calls, especially like bringing back Fagioli. Are you kidding me? We're going to pay double the funds because Fiorentina always rakes us over the coals. to bring back a guy we just said goodbye to like a year ago, I'm not buying into any of this. I don't think Spalletti, I think he knows exactly what the game plan is, where the club is sitting, what their plans are. And the plans were probably for the summer of 2026 and not the winter. That's just me. And as far as the players, the new coming players, like I said, we got to start looking at ourselves in the mirror. I mean, Moise Kean goes on a tear. Nico Gonzalez, who we let go, is doing well at Atletico. Hans Nicolussi Cavilla doing well. Like, these guys are all leaving, and every guy that we bring in is not good enough. Struggles. We got, for me, there's bigger things going on, and I think it's in house. And I think we're starting to see some of it come to light. And that's why I say Spalletti, no matter what even I kind of think of him, he might have some good things that we might need, especially if he's cutting off phones in dressing rooms and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And I'm like, man, these guys are nowhere near performing at the level where they should have their phone, worry about like TikTok, Instagram, all this shit. Like, guys, start winning games. You're winless at 8 at Juventus. God damn it. Like, let's go. So you know what? Yeah, take away their goddamn PlayStations. Who cares about their Ultimate Team? They can be a couple months behind, whatever. I'll smack them around anyways on FC 26.
You gotta put your tag out there. You gotta put your tag. But joking aside, Berto, it's always funny when there's a coaching change. It seems like all the shit that already transpired. I don't want to say it goes out the window because it clearly hasn't. But game one, Spalletti, and it becomes a win. And this team was struggling to get any sort of results. The game against Cremonese, the 2-1. Obviously, I guess the second positive, because the first positive was the Brambilla win. But is this just because of the coaching change and it's just one of these things, or like what possibly could have changed within these players in the span of, what was it, 4 days, not even 3 days? Like,
Yeah.
it's a bit absurd to me. And also add to that, with all the results that have transpired, the lost points in terms of losses or draws or what have you, um what is it with these players that is not clicking? Because I think there's going to be a rough patch even with Spalletti down the line. Like, it's almost inevitable. Like, it always happens with any team, any manager, any player. It's bound to happen. What do you kind of make of, obviously, the game against Cremonese, and what needs to click with these players to get going? Because I saw the lineup, and we were saying it a bit off air. When I saw Coop Miners as a left center back, I was telling my brother at home, I was like, Julia, I don't know, man. Like, this doesn't make sense. He hasn't. I find Coop Miners, since he's made the transfer to Juve, hasn't looked himself, and now you put him at center back. It's just another one that's a bit head scratching to me. What did you make of all this, and I guess, what happens in the future?
It's been a long time since that guy's played center back. Like, a long time.
Maybe
Got to
you
go back to his days at
maybe U10. Maybe U10.
in Holland, man. But
Yeah.
like, it was a crazy call. It was a weird call. I remember seeing the lineup, and none of us could make sense of what the hell formation, what's the setup, because you saw that extra midfielder name,
Yeah.
and you're like, what's going on here? How's he gonna? What's this shape? Like, what's he doing? And then you see him line out there, and you got Colt Miners at the back, and I'm thinking, oh my god, that's crazy. And then in the end, it's his best game in a Juve shirt by a long shot. Like, and I'm like, okay, whatever. I mean, we all knew through what we've seen since he's come over that he's better at like further away. When you put him right up at the top, it doesn't work for him. And he's one that needs to like gradually get forward into the game and make those trailing runs. And that's what he was so good at with Atalanta and under Gasperini, being that extra man late, hitting the box, and then taking a shot, taking a rip. And he had confidence in his free kicks, etc. For us, he's sending everything to the moon. And I mean, left center back, whatever it is, this is it for this guy, because other than that, it's portiere, man. It's goalkeeper other than this. So, hey, wherever we can get this guy to contribute, it is what it is. And right now you're without Cabal, you're without Bremer. So you got to make something happen. I actually thought that game was really good from Juve, like for the most part, because a lot of the simple things have been killing Juve this season. They do a lot of the small things poorly and make a lot of mistakes, especially in the final third.
Yeah.
It was a cleaner game from Juve. One of the cleanest first halves we've had in a long time. And we could have walked away with multiple goals in that first half. But, you know, in the second half, like we pushed, got that second one, and then you still have these moments where the guys just have these complete blackouts. And Gatti, yeah, that was
Terrible.
handled terribly
Terrible.
against Vardy. But at a 2-0 lead in the 82nd minute, why on earth is he isolated like that? Why on earth is he all alone trying to deal with that situation with the ball over top? He's got no coverage, nobody with him or anything in a 2-0 game in the 82nd minute. I'm just like, can we ask that question at least? You know, Jonathan David gets ripped for missing a header going back to McKennie when we had no other midfielders around. And if I challenge people, I said, go back to the start of that play. Tell me what's wrong before you even get to Jonathan David. Because yes, he made a mistake there and everybody wanted to murder him, just like they wanted to murder young Vasily Adzic for his error earlier on. And I said, well, why the hell did Gatti put Adzic under with 2 players around him? For Davids, I said, why the hell did Perin not pass to one of the 4 guys standing next to him in the box doing nothing? 1 Lazio player in the box, 5 Juve players. He could have turned, taken that pass to the right. We got no problems. He throws it right up the middle. David surrounded, heads it back to McKennie. McKennie surrounded because Lazio's got players all around the middle there. And there you go. But they want to pick Jonathan David because right now that's the trend. Number 1, because he's Canadian. Number 2, he's a new. And number 3, he's struggling. I'm a fatico cazzi. All 3. The trifecta. Okay?
There you go.
But
no one defends Jonathan David like a bunch of Italian Canadians who also happen to be Juve fans.
hey, you know what? Actually, he's got a lot of protection out there because the story's out. What we've been saying, it's not just him. It's a handful of guys, right? And all these newcomers that are coming, you're telling me none of them are good. None of them will succeed. None of them could thrive. I'm not buying it. And to your point about why these struggles, why these mental blocks, why I truly believe it's the culture at the club that is lost.
It starts from the top. You have to establish that from the top down.
100%.
We said that last week. Yeah.
100% from the top. And this is what makes me laugh when fans get so fired up when the rumor pops up about Elkan potentially selling Juventus because of the family ties over 100 years, etc. And no, it's family, whatever. I go, what the hell in the past while has made you feel that connection to this club?
Nothing.
There's nothing there that holds that family values, those ties. There's nothing there. If we can't feel it as a fan, you think the players can feel it? You think they get it? Like, there's no more Villar Perosa to kick off the season. That's acts like years ago. Because of why? Because of battles between assets in the family. Okay, so now we lost a beautiful thing that the players loved. I don't know if you guys happen to catch Patrice Evra's words calling out all the players after Tudor got sacked, but he called in the connection and all this, and he talked about Villar Perosa. That's where you started to understand. He goes, I was a new player to Juve. You walk into Villar Perosa surrounded by fans. You're playing in this pitch, just on this property, whatever. And then after you go in, you eat together as a team, and Agnelli tells you everything about the family, whatever. Like he's like, I bought in that second.
Yeah.
Not only that, Agnelli's all over you. Day in, day out, like, hey, you're doing good. Is there anything I could do for you? Like, what do you need? Like, what should we do better with facilities? Like, anything. It's just that involvement. Elkan is not there. There's not going to be any ties. These guys are like, it's like when you're at work, your boss ain't around. You're going to slack a bit. You're going to have a little fun, whatever.
Of course.
run up Google and, you know, maybe set some parlays up, do a little bit of something. Then all of a sudden your boss comes out, oh, yeah, okay, attention. Like
Yeah.
that's
So
what
about
it
that
is,
report, right?
I swear to God, I think it's just the culture has been broken, and maybe Spalletti can help that.